To my man Chris Rock, you're an icon, you're a legend, and if you don't deserve none, you deserve respect. And if you feel disrespected, and like I said, it was a joke went bad. So from that, I just want you to know what you felt was in my heart.
Yo, what's up? This bruh man from the fifth floor, and you tuned in to Forgotten Kings TV.
Salute world, what's going on with y'all, man? Today we got a special episode of Off the Rip, okay? Today's special guest is comedian Scruncho, all right? Legendary comedian for those who may not know. Recently, some people went on social media and made posts about Scruncho checking Chris Rock, okay? I had to reach out to Scruncho because in the past we've worked together, myself, Improv, TV, Reggie Curl, and several other talented comedians who are also part of Knockout Kings of Comedy starring Scruncho. So again, I had to do my homework, and he went ahead and cleared up the controversy involving him and Chris Rock. Okay, but before we get into what he had to say about these rumors of him checking Chris Rock, I just want to let y'all know I appreciate each and every one of y'all who have been supporting the channel for over the years. 4 years going on 5. And it's been an amazing journey. You know what I mean? I'm very grateful and thankful for the support. As you can see behind me, you got the silver plaque, and we're working hard towards the goal. Okay, so with that being said, like, share, subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you can get all of the latest content as soon as it uploads. Again, we're making several posts on the community posts, reels, long form videos like this. So sometimes videos might get lost. You might not get a notification. So again, hit the bell so that way you can be, informed on every upload that's posted. Okay, but with that being said, I'm done running my mouth. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. And yeah, y'all, I'm out. Let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of Off the Rip. Today we got a special guest, the legendary Scruncho. How you feeling, King?
Man, it's an honor to be on your show. We're family, so you know how we do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, man, for those who may not know about Scruncho, do your Googles, do your research. One of the legends in this comedy shit. One of one, to be honest with you. Today, we brought you on because some controversy that then, been mentioned on social media involving your name in regards to Chris Rock. I want to bring up this post. I'm gonna just read the post, and you let me know if this is accurate. All right, this is how we gonna do it. All right, somebody attending the show made this post yesterday. All right, shout out to Don B. They made a post saying last night at the Improv, Scruncho went up to Chris Rock and told him he don't like his comedy because of how he make black people look. Chris walked off with Sasha Cohen looking crazy. Then Scruncho said, "You didn't walk off and Lord CK called you a nigga." All right. Now, is this true, Scruncho? Did this really happen?
Well, listen, I don't like Chris Rock comedy. Nigga, I love Chris Rock comedy, right? But that was actually the joke I was trying to say to him when I met him. I was like, I shook his hand, and the joke was, man, I don't like your comedy. Nigga, I love your comedy. Because my mind, I got a one-man show coming up called All I Needed Was a Hug. And to have Chris there would have been a straight honor. So it was a good time to promote the show and try to get Chris at the show. But talking about a joke went bad, oh, man, that went all the way bad. Sometimes you have to take accountability because soon as I guess my energy, I'm like, nigga, I don't like your comedy. You know what I mean? And as soon as I went to say the punchline, but nigga, I love your comedy. That nigga snatched his hand and walked. I said, oh no, nigga. And he was walking away. Then I felt some type of way. You know what I mean? But when people say that, you know what I mean? I heard people say, well, he didn't walk away when but I didn't say it. But I will say this though. My wife loved Chris Rock. And when I think of New York in general, they helped me build my brand. Like nobody showed me more love than New York. And it's a rumor that was going around for years. If you can't kill in New York, you can't kill nowhere. And in New York, and Chris Rock is the king of New York. But I can see how people could take that out of perspective because perspectives on comedy is different, but that don't mean I don't like him. You know what I mean? Or I don't think he's funny. If it was a Mount Rushmore of comedy, he'll be up there with Cat Williams and Chappelle and Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor. All them niggas will be up there. You know what I mean? So
Right.
to say I don't like his our perspective is different. You know, but other than the fact that he rich and I'm poor, you know, he love African Americans and can't stand niggas. I'm opposite. I love niggas and I can't stand African Americans because the African Americans, the African Americans is the worst, homie, because they the main ones. They the porch niggas that go in on niggas. You don't hear the Ku Klux Klan, the white man going in on the niggas like African Americans do. African American cross over and they really think they better than us and they talk about us more than they talk about white people. So I'm very overprotective about black people. So I can see how people be like, oh, Scruncho Winnie and Chris, but in reality, you know, um, nobody would ever have a Chris Rock career, and he did everything he had to do to make it. And my wife love him, my mama love him. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I love his, you know. And if I can say anything to him, you know what I mean, I apologize to him because part of being a man is accepting accountability and being able to look at somebody and say, "Yo, I'm apologizing because it was a joke that went wrong, but that wasn't from my heart. It was from
Mm-hmm.
my heart of not liking him is pathetic. You know what I mean? And our
So
comedies are totally opposite.
right. I
Our
was gonna
comedy is
say
totally opposite.
I was gonna say, do you think it was just the timing? You know what I mean, at the end of the show, or do you really think he felt some way after hearing what you said?
I mean, probably. I see. You don't ever. Sometimes you got to think about what you're saying to people, because you don't know what he been through and what he's going through, and we know a lot of what he been through, but we don't know probably what he been through. So when I said that shit, it shook him. He like, I said, yeah, first, I said, I love you. I said, I don't know you personally, but I don't like your comedy. And people like say, but nigga, I love your comedy. Then boom, I'm opened up the door for communication. You know what I mean? Cause
Right.
but that ain't what happened. When I said I don't like the nigga snatched, kind of got offended, and it triggered me and that whole shit. And talking, I'm in front of a motherfucking legend, nigga. I forgot my lines, kinda. You know what I mean? So, so at the end of the day, homie, it was a joke that went bad. But, you know, me not liking Chris comedy, what I mean, is not true. You know what I mean? I love his comedy. I laugh all the time. I don't necessarily agree about his perspective, and that's what we different at. And not to like
Hmm.
somebody's perspective have nothing to do with the fact that they're gifted and funny. You can be gifted and funny and I not like your perspective, but and not to say I don't like you personally is it's an awful thing to say because I don't know him personally. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
and not liking his comedy is was a joke, but I can't say I don't like his comedy. Do I disagree with his perspective? Sometimes. I feel like sometimes you're sitting at a Chris Rock concert as a real nigga, you feeling embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? But that's his perspective. You know what I mean? I like Gary Owens personally, but I don't like
Hmm.
his privileges. You know what I mean? But that don't mean Gary Owens not fucking funny. You know what I mean? I think Gary Owens fucking hilarious. But the privileges he get over in the black community as a comedian being funny when you got all these hilarious motherfuckers like Tony Roberts and and just some Eric Blakes. There's so many funny ass niggas who don't get the love he get in the black community. It's just his privileges just overrides his talent. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it had nothing to do with it white because you know it's white comedians. You know what I mean? It's a white comedian in Detroit. Nigga, that's my favorite motherfucking comedian. You know what I mean? And you got Bill Burr. You got a lot of white comedians that I admire. And OJ
I
O'Shaughnessy,
was
the
going to
comedian. I'm
say,
gonna be.
what about Louis C.K.?
Yeah, if anybody, I'm gonna slap the shit out of his Louis C.K. because I'm a now if I see Louis C.K., man, I'm a definitely man, I ain't no rebel or nothing, but he deserved to get checked. If I ever see Louis C.K., I'm gonna check him on site because man, you gonna call my mother nigga at the end of the day. If anything, I'm gonna slap the shit out of Louis C.K. because they don't call my homie, my motherfucking colleague, no goddamn nigger and think it's funny. And Chris was trying to be, he was trying to be politically correct. You know what I mean? That's when he should have slapped the shit out of Louis C.K. So if anything, I'm gonna slap the shit out of Louis C.K. for Chris Rock. You know what I mean? you know.
I mean, I ain't
yeah,
gonna
but
lie. For those who don't know about the script, the skit that we're talking about, I think it was a segment on a show where
mhm.
several comedians were on stage, and Louis C.K. dropped the N word in the presence of Chris Rock, who both they've
He didn't
worked
even
together in the
call. He
past.
didn't drop the N word. He called him a nigga. You know what I mean?
Right, but
And
they've worked together in the past on films like Pootie Tang. So this is why people like, well, damn, maybe this is how they, you know what I mean? Chris Rock allowed Lewis to give it up in their presence. You know what I mean?
well, you know what? See, here go the thing people don't understand. For Chris Rock to get to that level, right?
Mhm.
It's a lot of shit he had to learn to accept and not take personal to get to where he got to go. If he would have had my mindset, he'd be broke down in the hood with me. You know what I mean? But he had to learn how to take that shit to a certain extent of that level of disrespect where he didn't feel like where he became numb to him. So it was just our first time seeing him get uh disrespected like that. But he learned how to adapt to disrespect to that level. You know what I mean? For us, it might be overwhelming. You know what I mean? But to
Right,
but to in this industry, man, it's racism definitely exists. Not just systematically. In this industry, it exists big time too. So a lot of time, this business is not based around a motherfucker who the funny is. It's like, how much could you take, nigga? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
How comfortable could you make them around you? Because they want to be so comfortable where they can show that other side, and you got to be so calm to where you can't take it personal. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Chris Rock achieved levels that a lot of comedians like myself will probably never be able to achieve because his ability to adapt to the disrespect or the level of disrespect that the average street dude, might not be able to go to. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but so I'm a fan of Chris Rock because he opened doors, and I hate it was a joke that went bad, and I don't know what kind of day he was having. You know what I mean? And he reacted quick, and so so I probably owe him more of an apology than anything. So for that, I just do want to say, because Tony Rock, my guy, you know what I mean? Me and Tony talk all the
Hmm.
time,
Right.
and all the icons that paved the way, whether I agree with their point of view, whether I like their perspective, but it's no comedian I don't think that is not funny. I think every comedian is funny. I even think open micers are funny. Because if you grab that mic and you stand on that stage and you checking your chances, your funny might not resonate with everybody, but you gotta be funny to get up there. And it might not show right now, but it's somebody. Might not be a Scruncho, might not be a Chris Rock, might not be a Rich, but somebody gonna like you. Just stick with what you do. But it's no such thing as a comedian uh, not being funny. It's only perspective. You know what I mean? But to
No,
get
I
on
got you.
stage and do comedy is the hardest profession in the world. You know what I mean? To say I don't like anything, you know what I mean? It's just it was really just a joke being bad. But like I said, our perspective is different. You know what I mean? And I don't really care for African Americans, but I love niggas. You know what I mean? Because niggas always get the short end of the stick. They try to throw us under the bus. They try to make everything. But the worst motherfuckers on the planet is the motherfuckers that can't defend what the fuck you are. You know what I mean? If you
Hmm.
black, defend the black. Nigga, don't never be embarrassed of your people in front of no culture or no race, because they not embarrassed in front of, they not, I don't never, we the only one throw our people under the bus in front of other people. You know what I mean? And the only time we
Yeah.
get publicity is if we throwing each other under the bus. You know what I mean? When I said something about Gary Owens, they don't say nothing. 8 niggas ran off the golf course to tell me not to say something about Gary Owens. You know what I mean? Nigga, I ain't never
Mm.
talked to Anthony Anderson. The minute I said something about Gary Owens, here he come calling me. That's not a good look. Nigga, you ain't never called me to say nothing. You know what I mean? I almost stopped liking him because they protect niggas like Gary Owens. So, it's the
Hold
business
up,
we in.
Scruncho. Hold up. What
Yeah.
happened with you and Gary Owens? I gotta ask, what's this about? What's
It
going
was
on?
nothing really happened. Like me and Gary, I see Gary right now. I got love for him. I ain't got no animosity towards him. I just
Mm-hmm.
use Gary as an example to saying, you know, you know, I love Gary Owens personally, but I don't like his privileges, and his white skin give him privileges in the black comedy community. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just saying, and to me, I just know a bunch of man. I could name 50 comedians but
I
it
got you.
wasn't, and it's the black entertainers that's pushing him. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
shoot, that's just the business we in,
I
though,
was
bro.
gonna say
It's just
he made a brand off of the black audience. I mean, you can't deny that. There's a
it's a
few of
lot
them.
of cats made a brand off the black audience. There's nothing
Oh
wrong
yeah.
with that. All I'm trying to say to you is,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of people. It's easier to choose a Gary over Tony Roberts or Eric Blake or Mark Prince
I get what you're
or
saying.
um or Bobo Lamb or even like Reggie Carroll. Man, come on, man. Reggie Carroll,
Salute.
a
Yeah.
motherfucking genius.
King of
You got
Baltimore.
Ali Sadiq. You
Knockout
got a
King of
lot of,
Comedy.
come on, man. You got some raw cats out here that as funny as raw as the Gary Owens, but we can't eat good in our own community like they can. And the people that's pushing for Gary Owens, it's not white people. It's all these African American, safe ass niggas who always hanging out on the golf course trying to be white accepted, is why I don't fuck with no nigga that play golf.
Well, to add on what you're saying, Scruncho, everything you're saying, is very valid because in this system that we living in, something like white supremacy, it rewards those who are anti-black. So of course they would allow, white people within black culture, black spaces, you know what I mean, to run it up. Whereas those who've been doing it for years are still trying to get that big break. You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
unfortunate because now we have a new era of I guess social media comedians trying to make their transition over to stand up. Who are some of the newer comedians that you think have done a great job transitioning to stand up?
Right now, the funniest comedian I've seen that transition from social media is probably have to be Charleston White. You know what I mean? Because uh, man, let me say you something about Charleston White. His rawness, when he polished that shit up, he's saying, man, he ain't nobody gonna be able to fuck with him because he intelligent. He talk what's real. He talk what's relevant, and he beginning to put punchlines to that shit. And when he clean himself up, he gonna be like the next Richard Pryor. You know what I mean? And I toured with the nigga a couple of times, and
Mhm.
regardless on his point of view, man, that nigga is funny, bro. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not saying that because I'm just saying it because he raw funny. And guess who else is funny though?
Who else?
Ti is funny. I went and seen Ti, and the first time I seen him, I said, motherfucking rapper doing comedy. Let me go see this shit. So I went and seen him about a couple of years ago. I said, damn, the nigga got potential, right? Because I seen it. Then I went about 6 months ago. I'm in Vegas. I go to see the nigga. Man, I had to pick myself up off the floor. That nigga was so goddamn funny. You know what I mean? So, Country Wayne is funny. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of funny ones, man. I think DC Youngfly is the king of the niggas that transition from the internet to
Mhm.
that elite level. You know what I mean? But it's a few of them I really just, I don't think it's impossible to do, and they proven that. And I love all the social media comedians because they add another. They open the door to niggas like us staying relevant, because everything changed and everything you have to adapt to it, and what they teaching us is how to do business. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it's a big shout out to all the social media comedians.
That's a fact. I was gonna say, some of the ladies. You know what I mean? We got shout out some of the lady, social media comedians. I don't even like to say it like that because
I
I'm
don't
sure they
know.
might
I'm
get
gonna tell you the
offended. But
funniest. They got some females you don't even heard of. They got females like Ronnie Raw. Man, she out here on the West Coast like a thug, stud, gangster bitch. This bitch is hilarious. Then you got Chicago. I think the next female to really blow is uh Jess Niche. Um,
yeah.
she absolutely uh Kelly Kale. They got some females. There was one female I just seen the other night. She was fucking hilarious, bro. So I want to say her name. They was performing in San Diego, and I was just with her at the Improv this Monday. But man, it's a lot of motherfucking competition out there, and make it competitive, and it's really good. Comedy is in a good place right now.
Oh man, it's great to hear that. You know what I mean? Being that you're a vet in the game, been doing it for a long time, understanding this is a marathon, not a sprint. The segue on, what you got going on currently. Recently, you was in Ice Cube video. It's My Ego off his latest album.
Yeah.
Tell the people how that came to be. You know what I mean? How did y'all reunite to make that happen?
Well, you know what the thing about it is, when I came in this business, in 96, 95, you know what I mean? When I first hopped on stage, believe it or not, the first people that ever heckled me was Mike Epps and Faison Love. They was in the back heckling me, you know what I mean? And I was like, nigga, I already know I ain't funny motherfuckers, but nigga, I know how to fight. So y'all niggas should be respectful. You know what I mean? you know,
Right.
Today, realizing both of them probably would have fucked me up back then. You know what I mean? But then that's when I first started doing comedy. You know what I mean? So, so to be on set with Ice Cube was like walking in a manifestation. And I don't know if I ever told anybody this, but when he called me to do, um, he called me personally and said, "Man, what you think about playing my co-star in my new video?" And he said, "Because man, I see you been out there, man. I just want to work with you." And for Ice Cube to call me and say that, man, they had tears. I kind of, as a man, I cried. He didn't know it, but I mean, it wasn't an ugly cry, but tears, you know, tears rolled
Right.
down my eye. I was emotionally caught up because years ago I was writing jokes for AJ Johnson when I first rest in peace. I was writing jokes
Rest in
for AJ
peace.
Johnson, and AJ Johnson let me write jokes, and he put me on stage a few times. And when he put me on stage a few times, remember Fridays was the hottest movie out, and AJ was
Mm-hmm.
in it. So he put me on stage a few times, and then after he put me on stage a few times, out of nowhere, um, Ice Cube called me, right? He like, look, man, I think it's your time. You doing your thing, and I seen you. I want to work with you. And man, I was so overwhelmed, I almost started crying, right? I said, for real? And then AJ said, nah, motherfucker, it's me. Ain't no goddamn Ice Cube finna call your dumb ass.
Hey,
You just
yeah.
started doing comedy. Who the fuck gonna
Hey.
call you, nigga? You about ready to cry. Get your ass off the phone, nigga, before you kill yourself. You know what I mean?
That's a funny story
So
right there.
yeah, that fucked me up when he did that. So for Ice Cube to call me and damn near repeat those same words, it triggered an emotional in me because it manifests something. You know what I mean? And I always get, so it was just a ironic moment for me. So,
Right.
and I say, and a lot of people don't realize this about Ice Cube, homie. There's no comedian, there's no actor, there's nobody. All the shit Puff Daddy out here doing. So the shit he doing, man,
Yeah,
it's
we'll
it's
get
it's
to
awesome.
it.
But
Right.
let me say this: when you
Mm-hmm.
think about Ice Cube, right, and you think about NWA, and you think about Ice Cube, Easy E, and Dr. Dre, right? With all due respect, there's no rap group that ever been greater than NWA when it comes to opening doors and using their platform to put cats in the game, right?
Mm.
Just those three artists alone, Dr. Dre, Easy E, and Ice Cube. Let me just go through a list of names that use his platform to get out there. If it wasn't for them three cats, it would be no Death Row, no Snoop Dogg, no Dog Pound, no Eminem, possibly no 50, no Ice, no Mike Epps, no Cat Williams, no Nia Long, no Angela
Right.
Bassett. Because remember, Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne played husband and wife before they played husband and wife and What Love Got to Do with It. It was Ice Cube that introduced them as a couple first. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
if you think about the platform, there's nobody put on more entertainers than Ice motherfucking Cube and don't get the credit for it. You know what I mean? So I Puff Daddy over here slapping the shit out of niggas with baby oil. He was over here giving niggas careers to launch their career off of. Morris Chestnut, Cuban Gooding Jr. Come on,
Yeah.
man. Megan
Yeah.
Good got her first break. Come on, man. So
Nah, Cube
the work
Cube
with
has
Ice
made
Cube
he made a lot of history in this game. You ain't still making history as we speak. You know what I
and
mean?
his character stays solid. He a good family man. He always you know, always loyal to his wife. You don't hear him messing around a bunch of, you don't hear about him having kissing on boys and having affairs and doing that, at a P. Diddy party, man. He keep it all the way gangster, just like me, nigga. You know what I mean? So working with him made sense to me. You know what I mean? It's like the way it's supposed to be.
Well, we've been hearing that Ice Cube actually confirmed that there's another Friday that they're working on. It's been greenlit. Is it safe to say that the people can see you? Will see you in the next one? Is that what I mean? An assumption? Are you going to be in the next Friday movie? What's going on with that?
Hey man, if God be the glory, it'll be a great honor. You know what I mean? But I would never say I'm in something that I ain't got a script to or I ain't signed up for or I ain't got confirmation on. But if it's in God's alignment and God said if God would never give nothing to nobody that belonged to me. You know what I mean? So
Right.
if he anoint me that, then it's for me. And if he don't anoint me that, then it's not for me. What I want for myself, man, it'll be a dream come true. But that might not be what God wants for me. You know what I mean? But it's definitely in my prayer every night. You know what I mean? But I feel like um, the most important thing is having a great movie. And I think if Q have another great movie, keep opening the doors, I might not be in this one. I might be in the next one. You know what I mean? He could keep opening doors for people who, deserve it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, nigga, no. But then again, I'm a West Coast nigga. Why not me? You know what I mean? Because at the
Mm,
end of the day, all the niggas that
right.
did come up, them niggas was playing West Coast niggas, West Coast characters by put on by West Coast nigga, and not one of them niggas was from the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? So,
Shh.
so
I ain't
with
gonna
that being
lie,
said,
like you and Snoop, y'all got a crazy chemistry because Snoop is always a part of. I just seen something. What was it? What was it, the Battle with the Bones or something like that? The
yeah,
Dominoes movie a couple
yeah.
years ago.
Man,
Like,
and Snoop, yeah, Snoop forever blessing my brand, man. Snoop been blessing me. We knew each other before the fame. You know what I mean? We used to work
mhm.
in a grocery store called Lucky's together. We was bag boys, right? And so we did a movie called Bossing Up with Snoop Dogg.
Yes, sir.
And Snoop made that movie. It was me and his movie originally, and then it turned into a pimp story. But it was our story originally, you know what I mean? But he done
Mhm.
blessed me so many projects and welcomed me in his home and always I could walk this compound right now and he showed me love. That's how come I don't let nobody like when I years ago Death Row tried to get me to do a video, when I first started called Return Escape from Death Row, and I went
Mhm.
to the set to do the video, nigga. I'm like, nigga, I'm excited. They finna pay me like 10, 15 bands. I'm on, nigga. I'm plus I'm in. I'm doing bad too. I'm like, nigga. I go to the set. Then they got a they trying to hand me a red FUBU outfit, right? A red all red FUBU outfit. So I'm like, hey, cuz I'm not putting that on. What the fuck is this about, right? So he like, I didn't know you gang bang. I'm like, I don't gang bang, but y'all do, nigga. And y'all with Death Row and this red means something, nigga. It's not like I'm in a genuine video, nigga. This a Death Row video. Nigga, I ain't wearing
Right.
no motherfucking red sweatsuit, nigga. Y'all from Long Beach. Oh, all right. Then they try to get me hop in the back of a red on red 64 Chevy, red Dayton, red Gus. I'm saying, man, I ain't hopping in the back of that shit. So they're like, and then they got me in a, they said, well, okay, let's do it like this. So they switched cars, and then they said, they handed me the script. The script was this and Dr. Dre, this and Snoop Dogg. I said, man, I ain't doing this, homie. I said, Dr. Dre just put me on the Chronic 2000. Why would I go sit in that nigga, go to his kid's birthday party? He invite my two daughters to his birthday party. I'm at the birthday party, hanging out with this nigga. He put me in the video. Then I get on and just diss this nigga for 10,000. I said, man, y'all out y'all motherfucking mind, nigga. No, well, Dre ain't gonna put you. I said, nigga, I ain't in this business to get put on, nigga. But I'm not gonna disrespect the nigga and throw a nigga under the bus because this nigga promising it. I said, man, I ain't doing none of this shit, man. You know what I mean? I said, man, fuck all. I said, man, keep that money, my nigga. And
Now look,
man, he was
fast
like,
forward
man, you gonna walk away from
2025.
all this money? I said, man, y'all want me to throw Snoop under the bus? I'm from Long Beach. If I throw Snoop under the bus, how the fuck I'm gonna get back to Long Beach alive, nigga? What, y'all get security? I said, that makes sense. So then
I
after
was
that,
I was I was
Dr.
gonna
Dre.
say fast forward 2025 and Snoop Dogg is running, the new death row. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yep.
see how
And
life work.
what I'm really shocked at is that Snoop Dogg ain't called me and signed me to Death Row as the first comedian just out of love of Ricky Harris. But business is business. You know what I
Mm,
mean? He's so
yes,
overwhelmed.
rest
When
in
you
peace.
you got to remember Snoop a global icon, a global superstar. Man, do you know how hard it is for that nigga to think of Scruncho? That's what I'm saying. It's impossible. You know what I mean? But that's still my
What's
dog. I fuck
Scruncho?
with that nigga every day.
Of course, I was gonna say Scruncho. Is there any shows that's on TV now that you can see yourself being a part of?
Um, the thing about it is, if you looking at my brand, right, it's kind of that's how come they said Chris Rock was shit was going trying to go viral because our brands are totally opposite. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it made sense that Scruncho banged on Chris Rock, but in reality, I would never get no brownie points for banging on Chris Rock. You know what I mean? That's just that's just that's not even that's not even right by no means necessary. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I could be on any show because I'm as gifted or more gifted than anybody that's doing the show. You know what I mean? My one man show is powerful. It's called All I Needed Is a Hug. It's executive produced by Tiffany Haddish. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Owen Smith. You know what I mean? So it's a Win Records. It's a big production. I got 12 shows to do all September, 3 shows, and it's a hour and 35 minute show, and it's not all comedy. It's gonna make you laugh, cry. It's really to show off my range, and you can believe all the rich face niggas, but in reality, when it comes to this comedy, you looking at the best. None of these niggas can't fuck with me. They know it. It don't even matter. You can take your money, your fame, because that's what they consider. When I was a comedian, we was all doing comedy to be funny. The new niggas is doing comedy for money and fame. Fuck the funny. They want the money, the fame, and the likes because that's their perception. That's their perception of
The new
the best.
Hollywood. That's the new Hollywood now. That's the new fame. You know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
it's apt though because I don't give a fuck. Listen, homie, you tell me and show me. See it's hard to say, because niggas in the numbers. You know what I mean? So if I say,
Mm-hmm.
nigga, you trash, the nigga gonna pull out a bag and say, I got this bag though. Look at this bag though. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I see a nigga with always showing off his money, nigga, I lose respect for you showing off your money because it make me think you hiding something, nigga. You know what I mean? What is you hiding? Why did you? What type of person would show off a big old stack of money, not unless they hiding something? You know what I mean? I see a nigga showing off that big old money. I think they probably been violated, nigga, because it's something making you feel. You know what I mean? Because it's something you embarrassed about. It's not how it's all. You know how you get beat up by the schoolyard bully and he stumped you out, and you be like, he didn't get my quarter though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And all you
right,
got to
right.
show is the quarter. It's like, what did you give up? The feel so. The show that you have to tell the world, look at all my money. Man, get your ass out of here.
But
But you know what it is, man.
I was gonna say, in all fairness, you were blessed enough to be part of a golden era of comedy where, these platforms launched the careers of so many, successful comedians, and now things have greatly changed. So, it seems like this is the only thing they can accomplish to even feel like they're valid. You know what I mean? In the
Yeah.
stand up world, because there is no damn comic view, no Def Comedy Jam. Everyone's waiting for the next big platform outside of the 85 South show. You don't really have platforms. Maybe Wildin' Out, it's clearly not the same from when you was out there, doing the
Yeah,
golden era. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's really sad, man, on this. But I think it's a good thing too, man, because I think what it did, like when I look at Country Wayne and especially like Country Wayne, a lot of these new cats, what they are teachers, and if you humble yourself and you look up to the youngsters, because they're the ones that's gonna teach you. It's not the niggas that's up, they not gonna do nothing but stump on you. But the niggas that's these new Tony Bakers and you know uh King Batches and Big Ja and
Right.
Craig,
Craig Smith. Yeah.
Craig. I mean, them
Hmm.
cats right there, man. You know, man, they really them the ones that show you how to navigate through this social media world. You know what I mean? Because talent used to drive the car. But talent they got kicked out of hitchhiking now. Nobody need that shit. You know what I mean? That shit is irrelevant, nigga. Fuck your talent, nigga. What your likes look like. You know what I mean? And
Listen,
and so
I was going to say, tell the people about your comedy tour right now, man. Where can they find you at?
man, you go to ogscruncho.com, man. Matter of fact, I'm gonna be in New York July the 11th. The show almost
Okay.
sold out. You know what I mean? I got July the 11th in Manhattan. I'm all on the billboards. You know what I mean? I'm going July 11th in Manhattan. You know what I mean? I got Memphis. I got two shows in Memphis. I got Seattle. Go to ogscruncho.com. Man, I got so many opportunities coming. But the main thing I want to promote is my one man show. It's called All I Needed Was a Hug. It's a it's like a gangster love story, about murder, my sister getting murdered, and all the time. It's basically all the time I've been reaching up for my dad and stuff to try to give me a hug. I've been ignoring my sister who was trying to give me a hug, and now in her death, now I gotta hug her in different ways. So it's really a powerful story, like an inner city story about, just the rise and the struggles of my life. You know what I mean? And Owen Smith is producing it. Tiffany Haddish
Okay.
is executive producer. Win Records is producers. Stacey McLean, who produced my first one, she coming back. So, man, it is man. Matter of fact, I'm just started. This is my third. I'm fasting right now, so this is my
Hmm.
third day of fasting, and I'm going on a 10-day spiritual fast, just all water, all prayer. I'm just gonna be in a room, just drinking water and just praying, of 20, 24 hours, and just, and just, just deep in my Bible and just studying the Word and just cleansing myself. You know what I'm saying? Spiritually cleanse, physically cleanse, and just really put my focus on God. And when I come out the room for 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, I'll be at the gym. And I come back in the room and I'm gonna shut it back down and just get into the word.
Nah, man, I know that's for many that may be very challenging. You know what I mean? To go that
Yeah,
hard. You know what I'm saying? Blessings to you on your journey. Like I said, man, you just one of the vets in the game. I appreciate you coming back on the
yeah,
platform. We got history. I just want to put something out there before I let you go. At some point when you come to Baltimore, man, we got to do an event, skating event. I said this about a year ago. I really think, we should just skate with the fans, man. We got a couple rinks in the city. a lot of history, and just just to be a part of that energy, because you're one of the very
Yeah.
few comedians that's still like that. You know what I mean? On the
You know
stage
what,
with the
man? Every
skates and
time I go to
everything.
Baltimore, man, I appreciate that because every time I go to Baltimore, I swear I sell out every show. I never had a show in Baltimore that didn't sell out. I think Baltimore is one of the major cities that always support my brand, and it'd be an honor. And I think off that note right there, I think when I do my next tour, I think every tour I do, I'm gonna have a skating party at the skating ring before or after the show. You know what I mean? And I think
Okay,
that's gonna be fly. And I've
let's
even got
try
my
to figure
skate.
that
I
out.
even did my skate bit in my one man show.
Okay, okay. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been in some skates, but just to create some good energy, feel good energy. You know what I mean? I just, like I said, I think that's just one of the best moves to pull off whenever you come back in the city. Like I said, we can definitely make that happen. But again, let the people know where they can find you on social media before we go.
And before I go, let me just one more time say, to
Hmm.
my man Chris Rock, you're an icon, you're a legend, and if you don't deserve nothing, you deserve respect. And if you feel disrespected, and like I said, it was a joke, went bad. So from that, I just want you to know what you felt was in my heart, and I just love you for what you did, for opening up the doors for dusty niggas like myself. So if I offended you or triggered you anyway, my apologies. You know what I mean? But like I said, I don't like you, nigga. I love you. You know what I mean? I think you're amazing. I think you're incredible. And the next time I shake your hand, I'll be more respectful. So but to everybody out there, man, I just want everybody to know, man, go to ogscruncho.com. Go to the real Scruncho on my social media, Anthony B. Scruncho on my Facebook. Leave a comment, leave anything, man, and just know to all 72 of my fans, y'all know don't nobody love y'all like I do. Period.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard that from the legend himself, man. With that being said, we out. Peace.
We out. For sure.
Salute world, I need y'all to do me a favor right quick and tap into the homie Grand Finale's latest video titled Sidelines. Okay, the full video is available on his YouTube channel. However, I'm about to bless y'all with a quick teaser. Okay, if you like what you hear, make sure to head on over to his channel and leave a comment. All right, and make sure to tell him that Rip sent you. Okay, run them numbers up. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.
Upon the world before you dearly depart.
Let the world go by. Just let the world go by. And it'll all be just fine.
Thank you for watching my video. If you like what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And also, hit that notification bell to get the latest on hip-hop, sports, comedy, whatever. All right, we got you covered over here at Forgotten Kings TV. And also, click on one of these videos, okay? All right, y'all.